Hi, I'm M. Lavore Perry, and this is Lotus Sutra Buddhism on Substack, Lotus Sutra Buddhism.substack.com. Today is Thursday, May 28th, 2026. This episode is titled, Let's Stick to the Facts About What the Lotus Sutra Teaches and Not Make Personal Digs. I actually posted this on Facebook yesterday, and I wanted to share it on Substack. So this is for SGI members, but it's also for anyone who wants to know some basics about the Buddhism of the Lotus Sutra Buddhism. So one thing I wanted to say is that you'll hear me talk about how Shakyamuni Buddha, the Buddha, said that the Lotus Sutra is the teaching to follow. That's why my Substack's called Lotus Sutra Buddhism. And the reason is because of what the Lotus Sutra teaches, which is that we're all Buddhas. This was a radical teaching because it means that we are the greatest thing in the universe just as we are. We don't have to become something special. So that's why abandoning that teaching is such a horrible thing, because you're denying the greatness, the unlimited greatness of your own life. All right, so let me get into it. This is for SGI members. The Soka Gakkai International, the SGI, is the world's largest Buddhist organization. There are millions of SGI members in countries around the world. As a Nichiren Buddhist organization, it's supposed to be based on the Lotus Sutra, but it isn't. And hopefully the context will show you why I'm addressing them directly. For more context, you can see on Lotus Sutra Buddhism on Substack my letter of remonstration to Soka Gakkai President Minoru Harada, and also my episode titled Buddhism is like the body, society is like the shadow. That'll give you some context. All right, I'm going to get into it. SGI members, I'm going to say this as clearly as I know how. I hope at least one of you hears what I'm saying. When I talk about the teaching of the Lotus Sutra, what many of you seem to think I'm talking about is psychology or philosophy or theory. You use words like compassion and slander, as in speaking badly about someone, humanistic, human revolution, faith, and Buddha nature. You tell me how many years you've been practicing. Meanwhile, my focus is narrow and defined and not able to be interpreted in different ways, as in whether or not I am compassionate. I'm talking about things the Buddha instructed practitioners to do. He was very specific about this, not unclear. First of all, he said we should read the Lotus Sutra. He said this many times in the Lotus Sutra. He also was very clear about what we should rely on and what we should not rely on. He said, rely on the law, the teaching, and not upon persons. He said that when we follow another teaching and not the Lotus Sutra, we are slandering the correct teaching. It is a fact that the Buddha said these things. It's not my opinion. If you would like me to provide passages from the Lotus Sutra in which he said these things, just ask. I'm happy to provide them. For 6 years, since 2020, I've only said these 3 things, which are either true or false. They are not up for debate. Number 1, the Buddha said, read the Lotus Sutra. SGI members who've challenged me, don't do that. Many have told me they don't do it. Every member who's challenged me has refused to provide a passage from the Lotus Sutra when I requested one. Many have quoted Daisaku Ikeda instead. Daisaku Ikeda is the now deceased president of the Soka Gakkai International. Number 2, the Buddha said, do not rely upon persons. The SGI Constitution says Daisaku Ikeda is you members' mentor and spiritual leader in perpetuity. Several SGI members have told me that they strictly follow Daisaku Ikeda's teaching. These are facts. Number 3, because of points 1 and 2, SGI members are disobeying the Buddha's instructions and slandering the Lotus Sutra according to the Buddha's definition of slander. These are facts. If you reply to this episode, please only discuss the facts I've just laid out. Over the past 6 years, this is the only thing that I've done towards you SGI members. I've only discussed these facts. Please do not tell me how I think or understand or comment on the state of my mental health or my faith. I have never done any of those things to any of you, not once. But many of you have done these things to me over the last 6 years, including as recently as yesterday. Now note, I have in the past used the dictionary definition of ignorant when talking to some of you SGI members. And when I've done so, sometimes I've said I'm using the dictionary definition of ignorant, which means lacking knowledge. This is because those of you who've challenged me have demonstrated that you have no knowledge of what the text of the Lotus Sutra says. Many of you have told me that you don't read it. Some of you have been upset that I display my Gohonzon online. In the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha said we should copy the Lotus Sutra and cause others to copy it. He talks about the immeasurable benefit of being exposed to the Lotus Sutra, even for a moment, even one phrase of it. Phrases of the Lotus Sutra appear on the Gohonzon, including its title, Lotus Sutra of the Wonderful Law. The Buddha didn't specify where the text of the Lotus Sutra should be when we copy it. He only said copy it. These are facts. And that's the end of the post that I made for SGI members. If you're listening to this, you can read the Lotus Sutra and Nichiren's writings at nichirenlibrary.org. That's all I've ever wanted you to do, is read the Lotus Sutra. You can use my Lotus Sutra study guide to support your study of the Lotus Sutra. You can download it and hopefully share it from bit.ly/Lotus-Sutra-resources. Until next time, this is M. Lavora Perry. Tell your friends about Lotus Sutra Buddhism on Substack and subscribe and get more podcasts and videos at lotussutrabuddhism.substack.com.